Welcome everyone to Podcast Recast Season 1 / Podcast Forecast Season 2. In this episode, I, Ocho, will wrap up Season 1 of I Don't Do That, my podcast. If you haven't listened to the podcast so far, I recommend that you catch up and listen to the ones that appeal to you, the episodes that appeal to you, at least before listening to this one. Or, you know, you could start with this one. I'm not going to tell you what to do. Who am I, your mother? Who am I, a cop? Who am I, your third grade teacher who wouldn't let you embellish the way you wrote your name by dotting the I with a little heart? Listen to me, I'm none of those people. I'm Ocho. I'm not going to tell you what to do. No. What I'm going to do in this episode is I'm going to share some of the upcoming topics for Season 2, which will start next week, and I will talk about some plans and wishes for the future of the podcast, and I will offer my reflections on the first 11 episodes. I do hope you enjoy this as much as I'm enjoying it. First of all, the exciting stuff. On the docket for Season 2, we have some intriguing topics. We have I Don't Do Punk Rock, a story of Aaron, who, a non-punk rocker, in his hometown, started a music scene that turned punk on him. We have I Don't Drive a Car. Finally, a grandmother who took your suggestion and got off the road. We have I Don't Weigh Myself, a discussion on body positivity. There's I Don't Use a Cell Phone, I Don't Talk to My Dad, and more. It's going to be a great third season. We also have some fantastic content for members, which will include interviews of me, Ocho, by the podcast listener subscribers. A variety of folks will be asking me, Ocho, about a variety of topics, including I don't stream my music. That's me, people. I don't. I don't work for someone else. Also applies to me, Ocho. And I don't speed in my car. Hey, guess what? I have cheap insurance. Those interviews are coming up in Season 2. And it's a nifty switcheroo where the listeners ask me the questions for a change. And you will be able to access that content by donating as little as $4 per month at idon'tdothatpodcast.com/give. That's idon'tdothatpodcast.com/give. You can contribute via PayPal or credit card. You can cancel anytime. Some people already have. You'll also have access to exclusive content, video content, including music and comedy. I also grant contributors the audacity to request videos. For example, this year I played a Christmas song for our friend Barb, and I made a ukulele tutorial for our friend Kate because they asked me. And because they made a contribution at idon'tdothatpodcast.com/give. You can too. Members also get the option to interview me. How about that? The regularly scheduled episodes on the podcast will continue to come once a week for free, ad-free, as long as I continue to get enough contributions and donations and financial help from people who are kind enough to go to idon'tdothatpodcast.com/give. Hey, are you one of those people who wants to interview me, Ocho, but you wouldn't have any idea of what to interview me about? Well, I have the following topics on the table. I, Ocho, personally do not have kids. I do not watch sports. I don't use alcohol or recreational drugs. I don't scroll media. Social media, that is. I don't count calories. I don't hold babies. I don't ride on motorcycles. I don't play video games. I don't do family entertainment myself. If it's a G-rated movie or kids' music, I don't watch or listen to or read news media. Are you curious about that? Hey, I'm kind of curious about it too. Let's discover it together. What's up with that? What's going on? I don't talk about politics. I don't eat fast food. I don't dance with people. I love to dance, but I only dance by myself. I solo dance. If you want to solo dance near me, that's great, but I ain't going to dance like with you, because I don't. We could talk about it. I got some things to say. I don't gamble. I don't reveal people's secrets. I don't brand myself like a lot of social media personalities. I don't really pay attention to that. I also don't social climb like a lot of artists and entertainers and people trying to do something with their career, any kind of career. I'm not really into that. I also don't have any pets. Do you want to hear about any of this stuff? Do you want me to talk about it? We can do it and record it and air the episode. Visit idon'tdothatpodcast.com/give and become a member today. Then we can talk about it. Please and thank you. Hey, 11 episodes in the books over about 3 months. So I'm calling this the end of season 1. I wasn't planning on it, but it's been the holidays, so I figured I'd take a week off and call it a season. It's a new year. It's a great time to start a new season. It's been about 3 months, which is about the length of one of the 4 seasons. So that's a season. That's the reason why I'm doing it in seasons. We have seasons now. Deal with it. It's been a really enriching experience for me, I have to say, having the opportunity to interview everyone. And I hope it has been for you too. I have laughed. You've heard it. I've learned things. I've been inspired. I've been surprised. It has been emotional. It's been insightful and educational. I now know that Denver is, in fact, officially exactly 1 mile high. I can appreciate the perspective of everyone I've talked to. For example, I have a much better idea of the nuances of non-monogamy. Like, I suppose before this, I thought, oh yeah, you just mess around with whoever and make sure that they know that you're playing the field and then tell them they can play the field and you'd call it good. Or maybe you'd have a primary partner with an open relationship. And maybe those are like quick and dirty explanations of non-monogamy or like of some examples, but now I see a lot more subtlety that I didn't see before. Like when you consider what your boundaries might be and all of your other partner's boundaries and also what your needs are along with your other partner's needs, like the non-monogamous relationship could start to look like a lot of different things. And I have Seth to thank for opening my mind about that. In that episode 8, Seth talked about boundaries a lot more than I expected. Like, let's not text every day. And that's very appropriate for this show. I don't do that. I don't text my partner every day. I would love to talk with other guests. If there's anyone out there who has a boundary surrounding texting, I'd love to talk to you about it. These days I am looking for guests. So if you want to talk to me, go to ochotunes.com/guest. You can apply to be a guest on the show on that page. ochotunes.com/guest. That's ochotunes.com/guest. And on that page, I actually have a list of suggestions for things that we might talk about. It's around 200 different possibilities. So if you want to talk to me and you're struggling to come up with a topic, you can check out that list. It's pretty fun to look at, even if you don't want to come on the show, so I'd recommend just looking at it. It's ochotunes.com/guest, ochotunes.com/guest. List of about 200 things that somebody could possibly not do, and it's growing. Every time I update the website, I got a few new ideas. Also, if you have a topic that you'd like to hear about, maybe something that's on that list or something that's in your head that you maybe just want to hear somebody else talk about, or maybe you have a question about the show, you can hit me up at ochotunes.com/contact. I am not accepting any critiques. If you don't like the show, okay. Good for you. Don't listen to it. I'm sure you have a very educated, critical opinion, and I congratulate you for your intelligence. There's a lot of things I don't like, and I don't reach out to the creators of the things that I don't like Family Entertainment. I don't go saying like, oh, everyone said that Lego movie was great, but it was crap, and then hashtag and tag the person that created the movie in my tweet. I'm not going to do that because I'm a conscientious person, and I realize that creators have feelings, and I have feelings. So I don't want any critiques, please and thank you. As I mentioned, I am looking for guests, though, to interview in 2023. Interviews can be in person, they can be on the phone, or on video chat. If you want to come on the show, there's a variety of different ways that I could get you on here. Challenge me. I would love to find somebody who wants to be on the show but somehow thinks they can't. That would be awesome. You know what? If you're a podcaster, if you're someone with a name for yourself, maybe you're building your social network, maybe you have a book out, whatever, getting on my podcast would be a great way to help both of our networks, would it not? Maybe I can get on yours too. You know what else, though? If you aren't building a social network, that's great too. I'm really looking to talk to all kinds of people. I don't just want to talk to popular people or people who are trying to be popular or artists or people I have anything in common with. In fact, if you're not trying to be popular, that would be a great thing to talk about. But whoever you are, maybe you have money, maybe you don't have money, maybe you've been around the world, maybe you've never left your hometown, maybe you're really talented with a lot of achievements, maybe you're not. Maybe you think you're kind of ordinary. I'm trying to represent a variety of people, and that's one of the ongoing goals for the show. Part of that effort has been to represent racial and gender diversity as well, and I'm doing the best that I can at that right now. I finally got my first guest from outside the United States. I'm proud of myself for that. That conversation will air on season 2. I would be thrilled to have more international guests in 2023, as well as non-white, non-binary, non-conforming in whatever sense. I have had 2 non-binary guests on the show so far, and at least one coming in season 2. But it hasn't been a topic yet, has it? I would like to talk to someone about that. Like, I don't identify with my assigned gender. Maybe you want to talk to me about that. Maybe you know somebody who does. It'd be great. Have them get in touch with me. You know how? It's at ochotunes.com/contact, or you can go to ochotunes.com/guest. That's ochotunes.com/guest. Also, on my wish list for 2023, I would like to have a guest who lives in the U.S. and doesn't speak English. I think that'd be amazing. It's a perspective I'd like to hear from. Obviously, I'd need to find myself an interpreter, but as I said, I'm up for a challenge. So if that describes you or someone you know, and you want to talk about that experience, about not speaking English in the United States, I would love to have you on. I have diversity goals. I realize the United States does not have an official language, and I think that's pretty realistic. And I love living life accurately, and I love living in a society that would maybe be devoted to accuracy. So since we have a variety of different languages and we don't have an official language, I think that's very accurate. If you're a linguist or somebody who is, I'd love to talk to you about just not having an official language. I think that would be great. I'd like to talk to a lawmaker or a policymaker who might deal with such things, or a historian who really understands the background of that concept. I think that'd be awesome because I don't have any expertise in it, but it's a thing that I'd like to celebrate, honestly. There's some other challenges I'd like to meet. I would love to talk to someone about being deaf, about not hearing. I think that would be difficult to do in an audio format, but that's kind of why I want to do it, because I'd like to meet the challenge. So we could do that either via text or interpreter. If you're somewhat near me, I could show up. I'd be honored to air a story about that. Anything regarding ability status, I think, needs to be heard. As a reminder, you can apply to be a guest at ochotunes.com/contact or ochotunes, ochotunes.com/guest. So many of us don't really know what it's like or how it feels to not do things, because the things that we don't do are often invisible. The things that we don't do are intangible. We're not aware of them in other people immediately. Sometimes we are, like, hey, that guy isn't wearing any pants. Okay, sure. But for other things, like I don't pray, which was Shiloh in episode 6, you wouldn't really know that they didn't pray unless they told you. And even when you're aware of something like that, like if you have a relationship with a non-praying person, for example, you might forget, which is okay. It's okay to forget, but I think life is better when we're aware of other people and their experiences. I'm happy to report that my life has been getting better because I've been being more aware of people's experiences from the show. I'm becoming more and more aware with each passing episode, and I hope that you are too. It's slow, but it is progress. This has been self-improvement for me, as well as entertainment. And there is so much more to cover. There are so many possibilities. I am excited to see where it goes. I might sound like a broken record, but I'd love it if you want to get involved. Maybe someone you know has a great story. Maybe you're out in the world and someone you know literally says, I don't do that. Whatever they're talking about, tell them about the show. Maybe they want to share their story. Maybe I want them to share their story and they wouldn't mind. Again, like anyone interested can reach out to me on ochotunes.com/contact, OCHOTUNES.com/contact. I should add too that I can keep the guests anonymous if they desire. We can use a different name. I can even disguise your voice electronically if you want, if you really don't want anyone to know that you're talking to me. If you want to keep the things that you're saying a secret. One of the things that I don't do is I don't reveal people's secrets. I have formal training in mental health counseling, and I know about confidentiality. I've practiced it, and I will continue to do so to the best of my ability. If you should want your information to remain confidential, it doesn't mean your story shouldn't be told. Maybe we should still tell your story without talking about who you are. I could maybe just use a fake name and a fake voice. There's other things I want to do for 2023. I want to talk about more smaller things. I want to do more short episodes. So I want to get some trivial topics on the table. And I'm sure a lot of you don't honk your car horn. Like I was riding in a car last week. I was sitting behind somebody who stayed at a green light for a few seconds. It wasn't long, but we were sitting behind this car for 10 seconds maybe at the green light, and my friend, the driver, just waited. And that led to a short conversation about when I honk my horn personally, and when I don't honk the horn, and when he does and doesn't honk the horn. And it was a great little talk. I wish I had recorded it. I'd be playing it for you now. Personally, myself, as you may have guessed, am quicker to honk the horn than a lot of people that I ride with. I have that conversation quite a bit, but, ask my wife. But still, I have boundaries about honking the horn and guidelines. I don't just honk it anytime I feel like it. I don't honk it when I'm mad. Do you want to hear more about my guidelines, about what they are? Come on the show and take the other side. Tell me that you don't honk your horn. I'd love to talk to you about that. I can talk about what I do, and we can talk about that for 10 minutes. I think it'd make a great short episode. Find me at ochotunes.com/contact or at ochotunes.com/guest. That's OCHOTUNES.com. One more thing, and then I promise I will stop trying to recruit you. I've been out there in real life. I've been talking to real people about coming on this podcast, and they might say something like, yeah, well, I guess I don't do a lot of things, but that's not interesting. I don't usually answer my phone, but who cares? I mean, a lot of people don't do that. But the thing is, people, to me, that is interesting. To me, Ocho, I find it interesting. So I ask that you believe me. And if you're willing to talk about it, I would appreciate it. And I will make it interesting. I promise. It's my job. I produce the show. I make these things interesting. I can do it because I'm curious and I love talking to people, having conversations about things they don't do. I'll consider it a challenge. We already know I'm up for a challenge. And maybe whatever boring thing you come up with, maybe it's interesting for 5 or 10 minutes. That's great. The format would just have to have 2 or 3 short discussions in one episode. Doesn't that sound great? It sounds like a cool way to switch it up. I'm looking forward to that happening. Actually, I dare you to make it uninteresting. Go to ochotunes.com/contact and tell me that you want to come on the show and talk about how you don't ever retie your shoes. You just smoosh and wriggle your feet in there every single time. Just smoosh and wriggle your feet. Never retying your shoes. You do anything to avoid actually untying and retying your shoes. That might sound boring, but it's gold. Why are you keeping that to yourself? What kind of selfish miscreant sleeps on a topic like that? Come on my podcast. Apply at ochotunes.com/contact or ochotunes.com/guest. Don't make me come and find you, okay? In summary, whatever you're like, whatever the subject matter, deep, shallow, complex, or mundane, long or short, popular or outcast, familiar or obscure, I would love to hear from you. Contact me at ochotunes.com/contact or at ochotunes.com/guest. Anyway, back to Seth in episode 8. I was talking about that, right? On reflection, I'm really impressed by Seth's commitment to non-monogamy. Like I might say that he's married to the endeavor. But seriously, I confess that I probably assumed that non-monogamy was going to consider the possibility of monogamy. Like, I guess I thought, or I just assumed maybe that it could be compromised if the situation were a certain way. So in hindsight, I might have asked Seth, can you imagine any situation in which you'd end up in a domestic partnership with one person? Any situation. I thought maybe like just as a coincidence, like suppose you had a partner and you both agreed that you had an open relationship, but then you ended up living together and sharing a life gradually, and it sort of ended up doing the escalator style thing that's based on dating and graduating to living together and buying a house and getting married and whatever. But then all the while, the relationship had the benefit of being able to explore loving and sexual relationships with other people, right? Even though you're going in this direction that seems more conventional. But then say that you just never took advantage of that benefit, just kind of by coincidence, and that but you stayed open to the possibility. So maybe that you were non-monogamous in spirit. Like, do you think that could happen? Would that happen to you? Would you ever consider doing that? And even though I guess it seems unintentional, so I might be kind of begging a question. I don't know, but my guess is that if I asked Seth that he would say no. Like he would say, no, I will not settle down like that. And I know that it's not good for me and I'm not going to do it. So, you know, and you know what, like that, it hasn't happened, but like that actually, I think that's what would happen. And that blows my mind. Like, I like to think that I spend a lot of time finding exceptions and thinking outside the box personally, me, Ocho, but like that one, I guess I got to ask him because I don't want to put words in his mouth. So maybe I just need more, like I need more information, or I need to hear like what he would say about it. Because I believe I have another person on too who's going to talk about non-monogamy to me in season 2. So we might hear another complimentary story. I could ask both of them that question because it's something that has my curiosity piqued right now as I talk about it. So maybe I'll do an episode with some follow-ups. There's a number of things that didn't occur to me till later, like that, and that probably might occur to me if I did a follow-up. Hey, if you have a question for any of my season 1 guests, dear listener, send me a message at ochotunes.com/contact, and I'll see if I can follow up. That might be interesting. So, I've always wanted to do previously on. I don't do that, but I've never had the opportunity. So maybe that's coming up too. Season 2, season 3, let's see what happens. Tangent, but related. Did you guys see that Rick and Morty episode this season where they had superheroes and the superheroes were actually storytelling devices? That was the bomb. As a writer, like that just tickled me. And this is reminding me of the Previous Leon character. Previous Leon, Rick and Morty. That cracked me up as I couldn't be more happy with that. It was a joy. I'd also like to follow up with Tyler and Ethan from episode 9. Jehovah's Witnesses don't do these. There were a long list of things that JWs don't do that we talked about, but there was also a long list that we didn't get to talk about. Maybe they would come back on. Maybe there's some other ex-JWs that want to talk to me about it, I'm just going to share the rest of the list with you right now, just as food for thought. Some of these continue to surprise me and or make me wonder. These are things that we didn't cover in our episode that Jehovah's Witnesses are not allowed to do. JWs are not allowed to masturbate, politically organize, run for office, participate in a labor strike, practice yoga, serve jury duty, study social sciences, have non-heterosexual relationships, celebrate Mother's or Father's Day, serve in leadership roles outside of the church, have women as leaders or read their horoscope. I think all those would be really interesting to talk about. My curiosity sort of like leads me to think that it would be very interesting to talk to someone from the organization who was more inclined to explain or defend their position on those things. I don't really have a desire for this show to be confrontational, so I don't know if I would go there. I personally enjoy confrontation in my life when it's useful and necessary. I try to be an assertive person and not an aggressive person and not a passive person, and to find that balance. I think I'd be okay at it on the show, but I don't really want the show to be confrontational. Mostly, I guess, if someone's deal is being preachy or being on a soapbox or trying to restrict other people's right to live their lives, trying to tell them what to do. If somebody is like that, if they're trying to recruit people into their way of believing, I don't really consider that to be good entertainment. I don't really want to give them a sounding board. They can get their own podcast. It's easy. Or better yet, even easier, those people can shut their mouths and look around. Just use your ears. Try to listen to new ideas. Just try. Just try something new. Try some new food, people. Try some new music. Think of something new. Try listening to some new ideas. Read some books. Go hug some new people. Just give them a hug. See if they want to first. Consent is important. One thing about that XJW episode that really didn't hit me, I guess, until I was editing and transcribing it. These guys have had the fear of the end of the world put into them since birth. That's got to affect your psychology, right? Imagine that. It's hard to fathom. I imagined Shiloh earlier, too. The main thing that sticks with me from that episode is that contemplative process that they've developed to declutter their mind and put faith in themselves. Like, looking back, I wish I could have gone deeper into that at the time. The process of creating touchstones I found to be very insightful. Physical, like tangible reminders of the things you have done well. That's why we have trophies and medals and things like that, but people don't always give you a trophy, right? No one's going to give me a trophy for making season 1 of this podcast, and I'm proud of myself. So maybe if I created something tangible to remind myself of my accomplishment, that I would be happier moving forward. Reminders for times you've succeeded, like creating tangible reminders, because you might need them later. There were a number of really useful things in that conversation that I feel like I didn't quite grasp until later. Like make art that expresses what you want to remember, how you want to think and be. Like make art about it, make good art, genuine art, create it, revisit it. So these episodes, I end up editing and transcribing them. So as a result, I listen to them like at least 3 times each minimum. I listen when I have the conversation. I listen again when I edit the conversation. I cut stuff out. I add music. I mix the sound and other stuff. And then I let the software transcribe it, but it's riddled with errors. So I listen to it again while I'm fixing the errors in the transcription, the words, the written words that go along with it. All of these are closed captioned on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, which is Ocho Tunes, youtube.com/Ocho Tunes. And by the time I'm done doing all this work, this transcription and this editing and this mixing, usually I notice something that I missed in the conversation, or I think of something that I would have asked had I thought of it or whatever. So you might say that doing all that work sounds mundane, or just that it sounds like a pain in the ass, and you wouldn't be wrong. Exactly. This is some work to make this podcast, but the good news is that the episodes stand up to repeated listening, and I get to learn that firsthand when I edit and transcribe them. And I pick up on small things that I miss, and I think more deeply about it, so I can verify that they're worth listening to again. The fun thing that I found about talking to David when we first started, I had absolutely no idea of why they didn't clap their hands. Sometimes I'll go in with some background, but it seemed like such a quirky thing to have no explanation for. I'm just going to coin a term right now since I'm thinking of it. We're going to call it a habisn't. It's like a habit that you don't do. Habisn't. Get it? Habit, but you don't do it. Habisn't. Yeah, you can use that one. You might hear me use it again. HABISN''T. Habisn't. It's in the dictionary now. Use it. So David has a habisn't of not clapping their hands. It was an unexpected habisn't. I'd never heard of it. So one thing that I didn't do, and that I hope that I never do on this show, was to ask why. I, myself, Ocho, was a therapist for a few years early in my career, and part of my training was to avoid asking why. Nobody actually knows why when you ask them. You might get someone talking with why, and you might get some background, and you might get some insight, but it's not going to be new, is it? Like, since you're asking them essentially to just explain their behavior, what people do when you ask them why, is they generally just spit out a bunch of constructs that they have in their head already. So ideally, they would be covering new ground, though, and gaining new insights, and not just repeating things that they already think. So we ask them different questions. Like, why can also put people on the defensive. Whenever someone says, well, why do you do that? It might cause you to be on the defensive, in which case you're not open to the person you're talking to, which is something you want to do as a therapist or an interviewer, which is what I am now. So instead, I ask, how did it start? How do people react to you? Do you ever make exceptions for your habisn't? What do you do instead of your habisn't, etc.? And generally, as with David, people end up telling you their why story anyway. They have it in their head, they come on, they want to talk about it. So in that case, it was pretty direct. The why story, it made a lot of sense. As a kid, someone made them do something to the point of discomfort. It seems like a no-brainer. Just not going to do that after that. They don't clap their hands because they had to do it too much in church as a kid. Also, you should know, listeners, that these conversations have had far more to do with religion and spirituality than I ever expected. I wasn't trying to start a podcast about spirituality. It's not something I generally talk about. So I've mentioned 4 of the topics so far that were chosen by the people I've interviewed. They're chosen by the guests on the show. And I'll talk to you about whatever you want, as long as you're not on a soapbox and as long as it's an entertaining story, which it is. So the 4 that we've talked about so far, I don't pray, I don't do monogamy, I don't clap my hands. That ended up being spiritual somehow. It ended up being about church. And then Jehovah's Witnesses don't. All of those episodes, they had to do partially with religion or spirituality, at least partially, yeah. So did my conversation with Melissa about not drinking alcohol. That often turned spiritual too, but I didn't necessarily see it coming. So sometimes the conversations about alcohol are spiritual and sometimes they're not. So I've been thinking a lot about going on Melissa's podcast. We've been planning on it, but we don't have it in the calendar yet. It's called The Awakening Hour, and it focuses on psychology, spirituality, and sobriety. So there's a lot that we could talk about. I may go on there and talk about something that I don't do. Since I don't use alcohol or drugs, I mean, that seems kind of like a no-brainer, but I might want to think of something a little bit more creative, or she might have some idea. I'd like to collaborate more with her. So anyway, here's an update. Ogar is actually playing the drums again. I saw a photo on social media of Ogar playing drums, so I reached out to him on the phone, and we had to talk about it. I'll air our conversation later, but I'll let you know right now he's playing drums again. He's happy about it. He's wiser about it. He's playing with people who are good friends and who are considerate of his needs and his boundaries. I really didn't expect that to happen, but it reminded me of my very first episode with Carson, who had spontaneously said, "All this is making me want to try soup." And Seth also said something about I have to get in the headspace now of thinking what it's like to be monogamous because I wasn't used to thinking about it. He said something like that. So it's been unexpected to see people examining the other side while we're talking, although I guess I shouldn't be surprised. I guess I could have seen that coming since we're here sort of talking about both sides. But I'm impressed by the open-mindedness. And I'm trying to promote open-mindedness on the show. One thing I was genuinely surprised about was Marsha's experience with social media. I guess I expected that episode 3 would be another light topic, like in the vein of the first two. I don't eat soup, I don't clap my hands, they're kind of light topics, but wow. I was taken aback by the experience that Marsha had had with social media, being used to threaten school shootings and being used for sexual harassment against her. I guess, it's because I'm on social media myself. And while I find it annoying in a lot of ways, social media, I have boundaries associated with social media. I don't use it willy-nilly, but I haven't seen anything that bad as threatening shooting and threatening and sexual harassment. I haven't seen anything that bad on it personally. So I never expected it, and it really opened my eyes. I have a conversation coming up in season 2 where we talk to Fuzzy, who, in contrast to Marsha, was on social media a lot as a content creator and as a promoter of live events, and then Fuzzy quit due to things getting bad. Marsha had always stayed off, but Fuzzy did a total 180 and just quit. So I'm looking forward to airing that. I hope you're looking forward to hearing about Fuzzy's experience, but what I'm getting from both of these conversations, I'll tell you right now that it's this. Although social media on the surface, it tries to look like a happy place, I think that's its main appeal. Everybody come and be together and be happy. And it sometimes is a happy place, for sure. I'm not going to say that it never is, but it also has a real dark side that causes people to get rid of it or to keep it out of their lives. And it got me thinking that I guess it's kind of like school for Melody, in that, if you remember Melody, we think that school is for everyone, like both social media and school. They're made for everyone. Everyone can do this, or in the case of school, kind of everybody has to do this. And the intention is that everybody uses these things, but probably neither of them are really for everyone. It's easy to say that the person on the outside, the person who doesn't do the things, is weird, or that there's something wrong with them. But I think that institutions are made for the benefit of people. That's the purpose of the institution. School is, for sure. It's seen as part of your development and as a measure of success because its purpose is to help you develop and succeed. So if it doesn't do what it's purported to do, then sometimes wouldn't you say that the institution fails the students? It does, maybe, but all it ever says is that the students failed. It gives them an F. So maybe the students do fail, but doesn't the institution also fail, is what I would say. The institution's purpose and intention is to help them succeed, right? So can we really say that the student was the only cause of that outcome, that the institution had nothing to do with it? I guess this took a rhetorical turn. But personally, I guess I wouldn't say that anything or anyone necessarily failed. But I would say that in some cases, it seems that the educational system isn't for everyone, right? And if it's meant to be universal, then it isn't perfect. It isn't 100% universal. And maybe the same is true for social media. If social media is hostile, then doesn't it have some failings as a place for friends? That seems like a fair criticism. Maybe it's not even harsh enough, My view tends to be pretty well-tempered, I hope, and I hope you appreciate it. There's enough high-octane opinion out there. You could find a different podcast. But those are some things to consider, I think, So speaking of things that are supposed to work for everyone, And speaking of religion and spirituality, I studied a lot of cultural anthropology when I was in college. One idea that I learned about, which dominated that field as far as psychology of religion, is that anthropology of religion, is that every culture ever on the earth, in general, that we know about, has or has had what these cultural anthropologists would call a religion. Again, in general, every culture on the earth has or has had a religion. So there's a lot of diversity among those religions. There's a lot of things that they would call a religion that you and I might not, okay, to be fair. But I still think it says something about the universality of religion. And that's sort of the dominant thing that I was hearing when I was in school. So one thing that position does not say, though, is that every single individual person in all of those cultures practices that religion. So that's a distinction. Like, sure, everybody does it, but not everybody inside of those groups will do it. So we'll find people who are outliers in those groups. It doesn't say that the practices work for everyone. It doesn't say that every individual person is enriched by the mythology or by the ritual. It's part of the culture. And it's there for everyone in town, everyone in the tribe, but it's not for everyone in town necessarily. It doesn't necessarily work or jive or connect or fit. And again, we find people who are quick to blame the ones who are different. They say, you're wrong, you're flawed because you don't fit in with this thing. If this thing is universal, or they told me it was anyway, it's supposed to be. And then there's other people who might resist that idea and say, no, you know what? They're not flawed. I'm not flawed because I don't fit in. The institutions are flawed because they don't work for us. It's not us, it's you. And I just want to stop the fight, man. Myself, Ocho, I just want to say everyone's flawed, okay? Nobody's perfect. There's no individual, there's no institution, no nation, no religion. Nobody is perfect. And more importantly, much more importantly than that, how wonderful, how beautiful, and intricate and amazing that there's always an exception. That there's somebody who doesn't eat soup. There's somebody who doesn't play sports or clap their hands. And if you're a weirdo and you know it, then you know yourself. I can tell you, it's a surefire way to encounter yourself. Try to fit in and find out that you don't. You will know that part of yourself. That part of yourself that doesn't fit in. You will know it, and you will understand yourself very well. In those terms, anyway. So not fitting in is a big theme on the show. It's not all of what this is about. I don't do that is a weird concept. It's literally negative. It's kind of inverted. I don't do that. And, I'm still finding the edges of what fits into the show and what doesn't, what it means, what it doesn't mean. And I just want to thank you for coming along with me and helping me to discover this concept, which invaded my mind and forced me to make this podcast, okay, like so many other creative ideas. I'm thankful for these glimpses into other people's lives. I was talking about public school. I'm very grateful for Melody's insight. She seems like a happy person, like she's found her way. She's able to follow her intellectual pursuits now without a degree. And I noticed that she and I read a lot of the same nonfiction. We'll read the same cultural anthropology, for example, and she's found her people. But to me, there's still an element of sadness to the backstory that the public school system couldn't handle a gifted student who had a learning disability. And it seems like social class probably had something to do with it. And getting sick had a little bit to do with it. And the social nerdiness that has a place now, that didn't have a place in the 80s and 90s when she was growing up. And I can tell you, because that's when I was going to school too, and it was not okay to be a nerd back then. And not fitting in socially in school is another thing. Nerd was an insult. And that wasn't very long ago. Depending on your perspective. It wasn't that long ago. And you know what? One thing I'll say is that we've come a long way in recognizing the value of nerdiness. And I hope we come a long way in realizing the value of people who don't do the things, the universal things, or any of the things. So there's the social class, there's the social uniqueness, there's a kid who didn't graduate and still scores in the 90th percentile on her SATs. She's consistently under-challenged by everything in school. She finds math confusing, and the school doesn't know what to do with her. And the thing is, she's not misbehaving. She's keeping her nose clean. She's not dangerous. She's not fighting, stealing, etc. You know, my heart goes out to the kid. Kids are vulnerable people, and so are parents. And parenting is hard. So how about institutions? This is the question. Are they vulnerable? I'm not trying to be back on that, but are they? I mean, they seem pretty tough to me. An institution will kick your ass. I don't know if that happened with Melody or not, but I do know that she turned out to be great, and she's a person that I personally want to have in the world, and I'll say that she's good for us. Jose, too. I was really intrigued by his story about moving around all over the world. It seems really stimulating, really challenging. I am lucky enough to have met a few such people throughout my life, people who are really motivated to go around and experience the world. I have a discussion coming up in season 2 with Paul, who is a self-avowed hedonist. So he's all about experience, right? Experiencing his world. Paul does not restrain his desires. That was a fun conversation, and I look forward to airing that one for you, too. Finally, I mentioned that I'm talking with Fuzzy in Season 2 about quitting social media. You will be able to hear me live, embarrassingly so, on Fuzzy's podcast, Fuzz Jock Radio, on Monday, January 9th, 2023 at 10:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, or anytime after that on fuzzjockradio.com. I say it's embarrassing because I guess I'm going to talk about sports when I don't do that. No, I don't. I had a very relatable time, in fact, talking about not playing sports with Molly on season 10 and about on episode 10, and about not watching them or being involved in a sports culture or a sports community. And Molly and I hopefully will play badminton sometime, just to not do the thing that we don't not do. And, whether I can relate to you or not, I am going to do my best to get into whatever you aren't into in season 2. Ooh, yeah. That was a great rhyme. I didn't script that or anything. Some of this has been scripted, but that part just came out. I'm going to get into whatever you don't get into in season 2. And it will be well season 2. Stay tuned for the update with Ogar, who now doesn't not play drums anymore. It's a pretty heartwarming story. You're going to love it. Thanks to all my contributors for your memberships and donations at idon'tdothatpodcast.com/give. You help support the show. Thanks for our sponsor, Primetime Web. I appreciate all your help. Thank you. Thank all of you for all that you do and all that you don't do. And I will talk to you again if I'm lucky. I don't do that.